I know you're not on Fight Island, but what are your thoughts on what's happening there this weekend and what Dana White has put together for UFC 251?
Oh man, this is fantastic. It's the UFC was first to get back to sports, and they've really taken this whole Fight Island to a whole different level. Them and Abu Dhabi, the guys have been tested on so many occasions. Tested twice in Vegas, tested 2 more times when they got to Abu Dhabi, staying at the nicest hotels. This whole UFC Fight Island it's just something so massive, and the fights are only going to be bigger. But the way that the UFC has been treated in Abu Dhabi on Fight Island, it's been amazing. It's truly been amazing.
Of course, tourism is the economy. Let me ask you something, Daniel, about the fight itself. I mean, for a last-minute replacement, you could not do better. Like, if one guy's going to drop out, you mean the main event is Usman Masvidal? That's so good. That could have been the main event from a year ago, and we'd be psyched to see it. But as good as the matchup is, how does Masvidal win this fight, right? It would seem if the fight's on the ground, that's not going to go well for him. But even if he stays on his feet, it's not like Usman can't handle himself there. What does Masvidal need to do to win the fight?
You see, Max, that's what I like about you, because you think logically, right? Like, you get excited. Yeah, when you see Masvidal as the main event, it's the amount of hype that this fight has now taken on since a replacement stepped in shows what level of star Jorge Masvidal is. But when you look at the matchup, and he's a 3-1 dog this weekend, and if he had 6 weeks of a training camp, he would probably still be about a 3-1 dog, because it is a nightmare matchup style for him. He has to try to knock out Kamaru Usman, because over 25 minutes, I just believe that the style of Usman would give him a lot of problems. The mixing up of the takedowns, the cardio pace and pressure, and his toughness and stand-up ability is tough for Masvidal. But if there is anyone that can do this on 6 days' notice and be successful, it is Gamebred. He is not over there just to build his legend in terms of him stepping up. He's over there to win the UFC championship.
Daniel, how you doing, my brother? Hey, a big fan.
What's up, Bert?
I have a question. Far as with Masvidal, right, and having to cut so much weight and drop so many pounds to get ready for this fight, how do you think this is going to affect him? That's a lot of weight. How do you think that's going to affect him going into this match?
I got to be honest, Bert. A lot of guys lose about 20 pounds a week in a fight. I know in boxing it's much different, but in the UFC or MMA, guys lose a lot of weight. But the difference in that is normally you're preparing your body for the weight cut over the last few weeks of training camp. Jorge Masvidal did not have the time to do that. So it was essentially him being 190 and then getting down to 170. That's the difference. But the reality of it is, Jorge Masvidal, by being so heavy, this may actually play to his benefit a little bit. Because if you weigh 180 and you've worked your way down to 180 and trained there for a month, once you make the weight, you're probably going to weigh 180 on fight night. Jorge Masvidal stepped on the scale now at 170, and by the time he gets into the octagon tomorrow, he'll probably be 190 again. So that size, that extra weight, may help him deal with the physicality of Usman. So it may actually be a benefit to Masvidal that he went into this fight so big.
Well, I tell you what, 20 pounds in 1 week. Can y'all send me that meal plan?
Yeah, no, go ahead, Perk.
Yeah, right?
I said 20 pounds in 1 week.
Well, that's water weight, Perk. They dry out.
Because I need it.
Yeah, that's water weight.
I know, I understand that. But
you're going to have no energy. Like, when you're walking onto that scale, you have no energy. But the moment you start to recover, you feel great.
I understand.
Well, a lot to look forward to this weekend, Daniel, but we also don't want to forget on August 15th, you have a fight of your own, Stipe Miocic. The trilogy. He won the last fight. Yes. You won the first. So what can we expect in fight number 3?
Yeah, it's going to be a fantastic fight. Him and I have the greatest heavyweight rival in history. I knocked him out in the first fight. He stopped me in the second fight. It was just a phenomenal fight. One of the most exciting heavyweight fights the UFC's ever seen. And this time we get to do it again. We get to do it in the UFC Apex with no fans. It's going to be a very quiet arena. So you're going to hear 2 big heavyweights landing strikes on each other. I'm excited about it. My training camp's been phenomenal, and I'm just ready to go. I'm ready to go scrap it up.
Now, I got to say, Daniel,
you have to lose those 20 pounds. I got to say,
back in the day, baddest man on the planet was the boxing heavyweight champion of the world. But UFC is closer to an actual fight than a boxing match. So if you were to win, that makes you the baddest man on the planet. You don't seem like the baddest man on the planet, man, smiling and hanging out and doing analysis. And yet, you would be the baddest man on the planet, wouldn't you, if you win this fight?
Absolutely. The heavyweight champ of the world in the UFC is the baddest man on the planet. Because in a free fight, I love boxing, and I love Deontay, and I love Tyson Fury. But in a free fight, the UFC heavyweight champion wins that fight every time.
And Max, it's called duality. You know, you smile, but then you kick some butt. Best of both worlds.
I definitely do. Let me tell you something. There is a light switch that goes on. And when that light switch goes on, there are no more smiles. There's a crazy kid from Louisiana that just loves to fight.
Yeah.
Of course,
well,
Daniel,
John
Jones
Daniel,
gets it
thank
together
you so much for coming
and
on
can stay in the
first
ring.
day.
That's a whole other question, but I'm sure that will make the mix even more interesting going forward if that
Max
can happen.
It's so crazy. I'm trying to focus on
I know there's a delay, so I stepped on you.
Well, Daniel, thank you so much.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming, sports, and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.